plenty of stuff for Presidente. And Nima, we have a special music for you today.
Of course you do.
And it's not ABBA. Don't worry about it. It's not ABBA. But we decided because we're of the same generation, we came up with me and Steve with a good one. But you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait. And by the way, they're gonna release this in a podcast form. So, what did he say, Steve? Tomorrow?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to him. To be fair.
I hope he's not watching. Is he going to be on? Is he going to be on tonight?
Well, no, you're crazy. It's impossible. It's only 6:00. Kimmy's ready only from 9:30 on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He spoke to Claudia Romano.
Yeah,
and she wants to do like an Instagram live. And guys, 9:30, huh? 9:30.
I want to watch.
Oh God, I love him. I love the guy. He's a goddamn legend.
But where did you work with him?
I will have to talk about that offline.
Yeah. I remember now.
I already have one live viewer, so we're gonna.
It came back.
Yeah, no, because I'm not allowed to say that. Yeah. No,
I know.
Yeah.
I just remember now.
You tell Vinny.
Yeah.
All right. What's up, Alessandro, Giovanni Rivera? Hey guys, welcome. Alessandro's from where? Alessandro, you're where? In Australia, right? If I'm not mistaken. Thank you, Giovanni. Even though we have a Interista with us live, it's okay. We're still awesome. We're gonna describe our friend Nima. Nima, when did we start talking? It's got to be 7-8 years.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, no, it is 6-7 years at least, because it was when you guys did Red Card Weekly, and
that's it. Back
with when Francis was.
Francis, you and Francis.
Yeah. I remember it because it was so funny because he used to sit in the middle between you two guys. And he used to hack at him from each side.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys, and you could tell. I mean, you guys have been friends for like ever, all three. So
I relook at those episodes. That episode we did at my at the bar. Remember, Steve, when we're slicing, we'll have the slicer on the thing. We have aprons. He has the Inter apron. You smash the cucumber on the bar.
Oh yeah, did you have a bar back then?
Yeah, it was like a resto pub, and we did one from the kitchen. We did one from the kitchen with it was good. Steve, this is like 2012.
Yeah, we also did one with no t-shirts on.
Yes,
I remember that.
And we didn't mention it throughout the whole show. Guys, we're gonna wait a couple of minutes. We're gonna start off pretty soon. And what do we have over here? So yeah, Nima, you have the comments there on the side.
Yeah.
We're going to do this. Unless you guys are, if you guys
is this recorded? Is this officially recorded for use? Because I want to just make sure that everybody understands. We have adjusted the gain. The gain of the microphone has been adjusted.
Don't understand. After our podcast with Richard, Nima, when you even on your podcast, you find that one person, whether it be a good friend or not, you just have that chemistry. Great conversation. And me and Steve were like, "Fuck, man, we could have spoken for another hour, this and that." And we send it, everybody, and then Presidente. Vince, your voice is too loud. I told you 100 fucking times, bring down the gain. And I brought it down. I'm like, the microphone is away from me. So now I lowered it even more. And I'm back here. So you know what? I'm going to leave it as is. And
it's really good now. Stop complaining.
Okay.
Okay, give me a second. Give me a second. I'm going to go just plug my computer. Hold on.
You're going to, yes, because that's what we need for you to, I know we'll start as soon as you come back.
What are you doing? What are we doing?
He's got to plug himself. That's Steve. He would come over with his laptop with 17% battery. I'm like, but don't you want to plug it in? No, we're going to be okay. But I think now he's not taking a chance.
That's good that he's not taking a chance.
Not taking a chance.
But I remember it was Red Card Weekly, and I remember because was it your restaurant or was it your family's restaurant?
It was mine. It was mine. I owned a pub from late 2011 to 2014. And we had come up with that idea, I think in 2012. I think the first ever episode, we had a couple of friends. And we just went from over there. And then at that time, Steve had just, got his kids. And it was really hard for us to get away. Then I wasn't at the pub anymore. And so I think we stopped for 2-3 years, Steve. And then Presidente came back and, guys, we have an opportunity, a podcast. Yes, Alessandro, laugh out loud to DJ Khaled. Nima, you're a DJ Khaled fan, even as an Interista.
I'm sorry, but not a big fan of DJ Khaled. I mean, I don't dislike the guy. It's not like I hate him. I just not
DJ
necessarily.
Khaled, DJ Khaled.
It's
All
just,
right, guys. So, are we
oh
ready
god.
now?
Yeah, we're ready.
Can I give us our intro music, Steve?
Go.
Yes.
Because it's a memory kind of podcast. We're bringing back, the memories. It's Euro dance, Nima. He's from Sweden. He must know this kind of music.
Oh god, I
Our
haven't listened.
generation.
I
Cari
have not.
amici, cari amici sportivi, welcome yet to another edition of, well, not another edition, a first edition of a very special Milan Weekly podcast, a deep dive Milan Weekly podcast. And yes, we wanted to start off with a 90s song that represent memories, because that's what it's all about, right, Steve? And because Nima is our generation, our age, he was dancing back in the 90s.
The Euro
Welcome,
dance. Yeah.
welcome Niva from SempreInter.com. And we've described you last podcast, Nima. You're still a snake, but you're like a garden snake. You're not. You're not
Well,
very
yeah.
dangerous. Like we'll hug after a game. Steve, he's a garden snake, right? He's a nice.
It's a garden snake, but if he bites you in the balls, he still bites you in the balls.
Welcome, Nima. Thank you for joining us. And
It's always a
Nima never
pleasure.
sleeps. Thank you very much. How's everything over there in Sweden?
No, it's good. It's good to be with you guys. I always love doing this with you guys. You crack me up, both of you. It's always good fun. No, it's good actually. It's we're flattening the curve. I think they seem more positive than they have been every
Yep.
day in the daily press
Zebra
conference.
is in your country. As soon as Zebra comes back to Italy, Zebra's controlling the coronavirus over there. Right?
Exactly. When the coronavirus sees Ibra, it runs away.
There we go. And Colin, at least he gets to watch us once. And I know we had a special request from Zvanko in Sweden as well. He's like, you need to do like a Eurovision kind of podcast where we could all watch from Europe. But guys, today we had this idea. We wanted to do a deep dive on the 2005 second leg Champions League game, where the iconic picture that was taking Materazzi, Rui Costa, and what went down in that game. Now, yes, we're all about the same age. We probably remember watching the game, but we're just going to go into detail. And Steve and Nima, I wanted to start off by reading to you basically a story from the actual person that took the picture, and his name is Stefano Relandini. And I'm going to read this out, and we're going to discuss this after. When Inter Milan fans halted the second leg of their team's Champions League quarterfinal against city rivals AC Milan in April 2005 by hurling flares onto the pitch, Stefano Relandini's objective was to get a shot that encapsulated the scene. Relandini, who was working as a photographer for international news agency Reuters, felt the best approach would be to show one player from each team in the foreground with the red wall of smoke in the background. When Inter hardman Marco Materazzi and Milan player maker Rui Costa started chatting to each other in the middle of the pitch, he had the image he was looking for. But then something unexpected happened. To be honest, my idea was to have one Inter Milan and one AC Milan player together in the foreground with the focus on the smoke for the flares on the pitch. I shot a couple of frames before Materazzi was really close to Rui Costa, looking at the smoke. Suddenly, Materazzi puts his arm on the shoulder of Rui Costa for a few seconds, and when I saw that, bam, a couple of frames, no more than 3. As soon as Materazzi put his arm on the shoulder, I thought, that's the picture. Materazzi's spontaneous gesture of camaraderie turned what would have already been a striking news picture into an image that reflected the bonds that underpin even the fiercest sporting rivalries. Over the years, they have followed. The Relandini snap has become synonymous with not just the Milan derby, but with passionately contested football matches everywhere. Photographers are always afraid. He's talking about all this stuff and how the photo became symbolic. And guys, let me ask you something. Did you think that the picture back then, Steve, I'm going to start with you. We saw the picture back then, right? And did you think it was going to become such like an iconic picture? What does that picture represent to you? Like Materazzi, we never kind of liked him. He was a guy, like that kind of player.
No,
Other than
no,
2006,
stop,
other than 2006.
stop. I from 2006 on, I made a vow never to make fun of Materazzi again, as long as he scored
Good.
that penalty shot.
Huh.
So Materazzi, and yeah, he was the hard nose, in your face, dirty player, and he was the
Proud
dirtiest
of
of the
it too.
dirtiest, and
He is
proud of it
proud of
too.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So him doing that to Rui Costa, look, back then, I have to say, I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's a cool picture, red background, okay. But as you get older, and as you know, we do things like this where let's take out the characters out of the picture, but like someone like Nima, I can have a conversation with, right? We
Yeah.
can sit down and we live an ocean away, but I can sit down and have watch a game with him and not be afraid to be hit in the back of the head with a metal pipe. And you know what? That's what it represents to me, right? And I
Yeah,
take again
yeah.
another example from someone like Francis. I can watch a game with Francis. I feel like choking him, but I will not choke him, right? And it's the cousins. In reality, like,
Exactly.
they are cousins. They're cugini. They've
Mm.
gone through. We hate them when we play against each other. We will never cheer for them. But exactly that, when two athletes in a very high profile game can take a step back and become human even without knowing so, it kind of says, that should have been something that should have resonated throughout Italy, and not only between Inter and Milan,
So
but
do you
throughout all the curva and all the ultras.
all the so would you say, Nima, like a picture like this is the true representation of, yes, we have to be competitive. Yes, you are our rivals, but in the end, it's a game. What does
I,
this picture mean to you?
for me, it represents it represents rivals, yes, but respect. I mean, they are rivals. They are city rivals. They are exactly like Steve said, Cugini. But above all, there is respect between them. Even though there is all the jeer, fun pointing and we go after each other, but we do it until a certain point. It doesn't go past that point. And again, because these two clubs are twin clubs. It's not just they are twin clubs. They are so similar in so many aspects. And if you look at a family, I mean, in other parts of Italy, the derby, where you have a derby in Rome, those people don't like each other. They don't live in the same neighborhoods. They don't, you don't have family where, you have family that are either Romanista or Laziale. In Milan, it's not like that. You have half. Families go to the derby together, where two people in the family, mother and daughter, are Interisti or Milanisti, and the other two are something else. That's just how it is in there. And that picture kind of really embodies that, in the sense that there are rivals, but there are people who take it too far, and that they don't necessarily agree with that. And I think that there is a kind of innocence to that picture as well. You see
Yeah,
them both kind of hugging almost, and looking at the mess, and going, you don't see their faces, but their body language almost says, this isn't good.
yeah.
Like, you get that vibe from there. None of them are happy about this, and this is how it is. I mean, a lot of people remember when Alessandro Nesta, when he signed for Milan, coming from Rome, he was very surprised that, hang on, Inter and Milan players, they go to restaurants together. They have the same friends. They move in the same circles. That was impossible for him in Rome,
Hmm.
because he was the captain of
But
Lazio.
it's more. It's. I think in Milan and Inter have progressed, because if you look at these old documentaries about Mazzoli and Rivera, where they couldn't be seen anywhere, because back then, maybe you've seen that evolution from these kind of derbies, right? Like maybe the Juventus or Torino, maybe not to that point, but no, there's still
No,
some derbies
no.
alla Roma Lazio, Steve, alla Galatasaray Fenerbahce, or the Boca Junior versus River Plate, stuff like that. But we can definitely agree there is a big significance behind this picture, and it will probably timeless, and we're gonna go from there. But Nima, you said taking things out of hand, and speaking out of hand, let's get into this game. So let's get into this game, guys. This is April 12th, 2005, right? Second leg.
Mm.
First game we won 2-0. We
Pirlo won that game.
okay. Already
I mean,
starting.
the first game, Pirlo in that first game for Milan was just.
Masterclass.
I think
I
he was just
mean,
trying to stick it back to you for giving it to So
no, it was basically. I mean, all that season and the season before, I think we'd seen how damn good this guy was, and what a huge mistake it was sending him to Milan. Just like sending Seedorf to Milan was a giant mistake.
Whoa,
yeah,
whoa, whoa, whoa! You
you
got
got Francesco
you got
Coco. Come on.
you got the condom. You got the condom head in back in that deal. That was pretty good.
So there's the first
Yeah.
game there, right? And we're heading into the second leg. And how we got there, guys? Inter finished first in their group with Werder Bremen in second. Milan finished in first. Barca in second. Inter beat Porto to get to the quarterfinals. Milan beat Manchester United to get to the quarterfinals. So here we are. It's 2-0, and
Can I
within the
correct?
first,
Can I correct? Can I correct?
yes, of course.
Milan destroyed Manchester United. We
All right.
didn't beat them. I want this to go to the
Ripped them
English pub because we ripped them. They got caca.
completely. Yeah,
They
yeah.
got
I mean that.
They
we
got
can.
Qatar.
It's not enough. It's not enough beat. We
I remember
that
watching that
no.
game in the UK, and I remember the English commentators saying after the first half that it's boys against men out there. That
I
was the
think
English commentator.
it is
That
a
was
pretty good
that,
description.
that was that's what Sky Sports commentator said in the UK when I was watching that game after halftime. It's like it's boys against men out there. They
Yeah,
can Milan were. It was a long. I mean, that game could have ended 9-0. United had nothing to put up against Milan in that game.
exactly.
Nothing. Nothing.
So here we are, right? And a game, obviously, it's a derby, guys. 2005. If you look at that starting lineup, is compare it to 2020. I don't think we would have had these kind of reactions right now. But the game started. The game started very fierce, and in the second minute. It seemed like Shevchenko had headbutted Materazzi like in about the second minute, no foul, this and that. And I think that's where it started where, okay, this is going to be one of these games. They're talking about Adriano and the Nesta, kind of like, the Nesta. Adriano was eating him alive for a couple of minutes. Stam came up. But Nima, do you remember anything of like this head-butting incident with Shevchenko and Materazzi?
I mean, we have to put this into some kind of a historical context as well. And this is the 2004-2005 season. This is the season that ultimately a year later is nullified in the Calciopoli scandal.
Mm-hmm.
Inter's fans and at this point in time, Massimo Moratti is openly talking about selling the club. The club is in complete turmoil. It's pretty much hatred between the Curva Nord and Massimo Moratti. At one point, he even stepped down as president, making Facchetti the president. Like we were talking, this was not a good situation
I
going
was
on.
gonna ask you that because looking up just some quick. I wanted to see the lineup, right? Because I remember the game, and I remember Adriano out and Olafemi Martins, the Nigerian nightmare. I used to call him that guy.
Yeah,
He was just full of speed, and you make those changes like that, and then I was weird. I was like, hey. Facchetti was the president there, so
yeah.
I
It
didn't
was
know
Man-
that.
it was Mancini's. It was Mancini's first. It was Roberto Mancini's first season in charge at Inter. And because he just become a coach a few years earlier, and he'd won Coppa Italia at Fiorentina, he'd won a Coppa Italia at Lazio. He'd done an excellent job everywhere he went, and he did a really good job at Lazio the previous season. Lazio, this was immediately after Craniotti at Lazio, where they were just basically crashed and burned, and he did really good work there. So he came to Inter, and Inter were not winning. A lot of money had been spent on crap players, but above all, a lot of money had been spent building a squad that wasn't balanced. You had so many world-class strikers, but you barely had a midfielder that could string two passes. And then you'd gotten rid of Pirlo and Seedorf to Milan in exchange for condom head, as you call him. Inter were not in balance, and you have to remember this is also after the Champions League semi-final loss against Milan. Just a few years after that. So you'd already going into this game, Inter were not in balance. The club was not in balance. There was a lot of infighting, and above all, the referee. Let's remember who Marcus Mark is. He's a dentist. The dentist who
He's talking about the referee, guys. The German.
No, he's a German. Marcus Mark is a dentist by profession. And he's so crap that in Bundesliga games, they have this chant that they used to sing at each other, at players, at other fans, that went, "Du bist scheiß wie Markus Mark." You're as shit as Markus Mark. That's a chant in the Bundesliga when this guy was around. Okay. So he did not have a good good reputation in Germany, let alone internationally. And he was
And
an
UEFA
absolute.
made him the ref of a very important derby match.
Yeah, so we put him in charge. This guy couldn't. This guy can possibly handle this game, and especially with so much riding on it. And Inter's fans were already, really really angry, and the way this, so going into this, there was a lot going, hanging on this, and in Inter were already out of the Scudetto race. They were pretty much, they drawed their way to third. That was the season where we drew a lot. Vieri was towards the end of his career. Was he going to stay? He was also at war with Moratti. So the club was not in a good place. And Facchetti had taken over and said basically, okay, I'll take over this, but you got to let me run it. And so he did. And he basically, in 2 years, he turned everything around and laid the foundations for what became the glorious years when Inter won 5 Scudetti in a row, coupled up with that.
Look. He's already plugging himself when we won our 5 Scudettos in a row. He's talking. You see, you gotta watch. That's why I'm the moderator, and I gotta listen to these things.
This goddamn game is about you shitting all over Inter. All right, calm down.
And I like Larry likes your chant, your German chant, saying it's better than the Kurt Angle "You suck" chant like we had back in the 90s. Speaking of the refereeing, okay, so we take it to this. Shevchenko scores about the 20th minute, 1-0. Let's just fast forward to the 70th, right? So there's I believe it's Veron cross to Cambiaso. Cambiaso scores. A foul gets called on Dida for that one there, and that's where
that's it. They just have enough. Cambiaso is so angry as I've ever seen him. Zanetti as well. Oddly enough, Materazzi's the calmest one there.
And Zanetti and Veron were trying to pick up after this whole flare. Steve, what do you remember about that game? Do you remember any memories from, obviously we remember the flare in the back of Dida, and, I'm not saying he got an axe to the head or, it's still, with the velocity and everything like that. What do you remember about that game itself? You're watching probably on glorious standard definition.
For me, guys, I remember seeing Adriano in that game, and then him being as dangerous. Just Inter were dangerous that game, right?
And let's admit, Steve, when Adriano wanted to play, he could be on his best game. He could be like a Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no. When he wanted and when his mind was there, and Nima could agree. That was a disappointment for Inter. And we saw good years of Adriano at Parma and a little stint at Fiorentina. Then to Inter was the glory move, right? And it would have been interesting to see. I remembered a lot of the turmoil as well, like Nima said, the whole Vieri thing, and it's still going on today, where he hates Inter magically.
he's so bitter.
Yeah, he's bitter. He's like, they made you the world record transfer signing, and you're still bitter.
No, he's angry at Inter. It's like, I don't really care. I think he embarrassed himself by going to Milan the way he did. He wanted to stick it to Moratti by saying, okay, give me a free transfer, I'll go to Monaco. He signs for Milan and just pisses on his own legacy. And his greatest legacy at Milan is losing the header to Adriano in the derby, losing the derby to Inter. You remember? That's Vieri's shining moment in Milan. So that's so weird. So I think that's why. And also, you have to remember the character Vieri is. This is a guy. Remember it was the Euro 2004 when he's sitting there because of an article someone wrote at Gazzetta and saying that io sono più uomo di tutti voi messi insieme. He looks them all in the eyes and said, "I'm more man than all of you all put together."
Yeah, and then he's another one too that we're never gonna forget the 2000 World Cup, which I like to 2000 South Korea
when he missed
2002,
the upside down World Cup there where he missed.
How could he miss that?
He missed those chances, right? But the game itself for me, and just having the chance to talk with Nima and you, Vinny, about this, you go back and for me, it's the lineups, guys. For me, what I remember for that is the lineups, right? We hear on the chat, we see guys like Kili Gonzalez, Andy van der Meijden. Okay, that's fine. But the thing is, guys,
fine. That's exactly the problem.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying those. Imagine those were players that they were not like Inter at Veron. Yes, he was half a season Veron, he's
He was
classical
good.
Veron, but those are top players, man. And like you
Mm.
see changes like that. Like Milan's first changes like it's Crespo out, Rui Costa in. Like
Yeah,
this,
I
this
mean,
is ridiculous, man. This is like
it's
you're
another
playing
level.
FIFA. It's
Yeah,
another level. We'll never. I hope one day we will see it again because I think that the financial fair play is good for the game and the clubs. But these teams like Milan and Inter, which I try to preach to these little kids who keep on showing me Ronaldo jerseys, is that these teams here in those times their sole goal was to win. They needed to win, and they had presidents, both Silvio and Massimo Moratti, who invested tremendously in these clubs,
oh,
lost a lot of money, and people forget that, right? But going back to games like this that's what I remember from that game, and the tension was high, obviously. So you're watching at the edge of your seat, then to see in the a goal disallowed, and it's the straw that broke the camel's back, right, guys?
it really is. It really
Uh,
is, and it's just the Corvanor completely lose it, and they're like, you know what? We're not happy with how the club is run. We're not happy with this. We're not happy with this league. We're not happy with how we're being treated, and our honor is being questioned here, and they just completely lost it. I mean,
But
you have to remember again that summer, I think it was, or the summer before, is when the whole Cannavaro swap for Carini happened. I mean, like there's so much insults going on. Inter fans, especially the Curva, are so they are literally losing it. It's been so much humiliation, time and time and time again,
so,
and so
the way you guys are talking, right? It's okay. So they delay the game, they come back, they decide that's not it. The Dida gets struck
yeah, a
by
flare.
the flare, it gets substituted by Abbiati, and what comes to fruition after all this whole game is UEFA, and I'm going by there was articles on New York Post, on Bleacher Report, all these different things, and the most expensive sanction that UEFA have ever given to any team for 132,000 pounds at that
Yeah.
time, and 4 games now. Nima, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if they changed it after 4 games of Champions League a porte chiuse, and the reason why the 132,000 pound penalty was because back in 2001 against Alaves, there was another incident with fans, and they were going, and they were saying that yes, some people are going to go with it, some people are going against it, but we need to set an example. Did was it the right decision at that time? I know that 132,000 pounds probably back then didn't mean anything, but how much like it just seems like were they after Inter 4 games of Porte Chiuse,
No, no, no,
all
no.
these all these
This
things.
was. I was, to be honest with you, I thought, after Dida got hit in the head with a flare, I was expecting Inter to be banned the next season. Like I remember watching that game. I'm going, okay, that's it. This is, Inter aren't going to be allowed to play in any European cups because it's a flare that hit him in the head. Like,
Yeah. Oh, Steve, yes, Steve.
Imagine. So, so this guy, okay, he's like banned the whole season, right? So we rewind a little bit. Let's rewind a little bit more because I have this ability to retain useless information, and Milan gets banned for one, like they get suspended from Champions League for a complete year when we decided to pull the team out from Marseille when they decided to close the
yeah,
lights on us.
yeah,
So like if you think about the ban itself, is like okay, it's bad, but they also struck someone in the head. We just said, you know what, we're not playing these games in Marseille when you decide to close the lights on us, and you're going to be suspended for the whole you're going to be omitted from Champions League. So uh, is it bad? Yeah, but the thing is that I guess they had to set a precedence, but it seems like, and it's really funny being a Milanese, is that Inter is always set as the precedent. They did the same thing to Inter with financial fair play. They did the same thing with this ban, the largest ban, and then we never saw a ban any come anywhere
no,
close.
no.
So uh, they picked Inter as the Italian Serie A team to try these new things on. Let's see what
Oh, yeah.
happens if we destroy them in financial fair play. Will they get out of it? Huh, they worked. They
No,
worked out well.
They worked out well. No, it's true. You're absolutely right. I mean, I remember this past decade. I don't know how many times I've read the comment on our site. So does financial fair play only apply to us? I mean, because meanwhile, PSG, City, all these clubs, Real, Barcelona. I mean, Real Madrid, for crying out loud, sold their training grounds to the Council of Milan, Council of Madrid, for millions and billions or whatever, and they rent it back for like €1 a month. I mean, stuff like that, like, and we're like thinking, why are we the only ones following this? And then when it came to Milan's turn, you guys, Elliot just said no and just took everything to court and took everyone to court and didn't accept anything for an answer. It's like, why did we do that? It's like, why didn't we do what you guys did? No, but at the end of the day, I think it was good for Inter, because if you take financial fair play now, Inter have such a structurally sound ownership and basis that we've never had in our history. I honestly don't think any Italian team except for Juventus has that stability that we have now, and that would never have come if it wasn't for those years. So I think
a blessing in disguise, right? A blessing
yeah,
in disguise.
it really is.
And we keep saying it sometimes. Even Steve brings it up. It's like, you know what, they suffered. They've suffered, and somehow they did a couple of mistakes. Yeah, but they signed key players and so that, and it looks like they're back on. But it took time, and it just took time.
It takes time.
It takes
time. It takes time. It takes a lot of time to build.
And in the end, it hurts us to, what do we want, Steve? One derby in the last 5 years or anything like that? It's always the back and forth. But that's it. I'm not putting Inter over again. We're just gonna stop talking about Inter winning and kicking our asses. But Nima, I wanna before I give you like a little surprise question, I'm gonna ask you one question, and now you have to be honest. Okay. You don't have to worry about what people are gonna think about you.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
2005. 2005. Yeah. So we go through. We beat PSV. Finals. 2005. Tell me the truth. Did you laugh when Milan lost? Tell me the truth, Nima.
Of course I laughed. You were 3-0 up. I couldn't believe my eyes. Like, because I mean, the first half, Milan again in that first half, when just 5 minutes in, when Maldini scores that goal.
I'm not asking you to talk about the game, Nima. I'm asking you.
No, I mean, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it, because first of all, I mean, aside from Steven Gerrard, that Liverpool team is absolute garbage. How Rafa Benitez took them to the final of the Champions League is a miracle in and of itself. How they beat that Capello's Juventus back then, that is a miracle in and of itself. But that game, you could play that game 100 times over. It'll never end like that, because Milan completely demolished Liverpool in the first half. I mean, Kaká and Crespo, they were so damn good. It was the perfect game. And then all of a sudden, within 10 minutes, it was 3-3, and I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it.
Like, we don't remember. Look, he's trying to live out.
No. But I did laugh. I would be lying if I didn't.
Well, I know, I appreciate that, and that's why I always say, like, people tell me, how come?
But I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I've always been like this. That except for when Juve played. I'm going to be perfectly honest. If Juve played Sauron FC against the Orcs of Mordor. I would buy an orc mask, go with a foam finger of the claw going go Orcs. Okay, I don't support Juve ever. So I remember but when it was in all other Italian teams, when they play in Europe, I always support them, and I wanted Milan to win, and I thought Milan were going to win. I actually had to put some money down that Milan were going to win, and I was very cocky at halftime. But then that happened.
And that's why I stopped gambling a long time ago. Steve can tell you. Steve can tell you.
The thing, like, we move and we progress, and it was like almost, on another podcast, the question was asked, what's your favorite Milan game? And you know what? Like, it's easy to say now or after watching both games, like 2005, and then getting back to the final in 2007 when we won. Is to say that game, but I really think that was one of Milan's greatest teams. I also think that that game really showed Milan that they needed not only those greats, they needed to be able to kill and finish off a game, because it was 65 to 70 minutes of almost perfect football, where Liverpool had no clue of what was going on. Rafa Benitez, he could say whatever he wants. Steven Gerrard can have any documentary that he wants. That we believe. My balls, you believed nothing, because you guys were in the ground.
All right,
They were in the ground. They were nowhere to be found. And in a miracle of hope, one goal, and it started to itch a little bit, and then a phantom penalty shot that gets
that
him a
wasn't
little
a
bit close.
penalty. That
Exactly.
wasn't a penalty. I mean, come on.
But at
There's
three
no
nothing,
way they would never have given that.
or it just I don't want to relive these memories, guys. Seriously, but
No, but the thing is, I have to say that Milan side is probably one of my favorite Milan sides as well. I mean, I'm always going to have I mean, the Hulit van Basten Rijkaard side is special because I mean, when Carlo Ancelotti was a midfielder, and Donadoni and all that. I mean, that they played some unbelievable football. Arrigo Sacchi's Milan, and also Capello's Milan. But and the way they destroyed Barcelona in that final, Savicevic, and I mean that's probably one of my favorite Milan.
that you could talk about. Those are good memories. But
no, but I gotta say Carletto's Milan is actually one of my. I hold that a little. I hold that not as high, but not far off either, because I thought they were that Christmas tree formation. I remember you talking about derby memories and going through horrible derby memories. I remember going into derbies thinking, I hope whatever, how difficult can it be to saw off a goddamn Christmas tree? Bring an axe, hacksaw, termites, dynamite, because we couldn't get near you. I mean, even when we were 2-0 up, we lost 4-2. Like 3-2. I mean, it was like we couldn't get near Milan. Those years with Pirlo, Ambrosini, Gattuso in there, and then you had Rui Costa and Seedorf, and it was just we couldn't get near them. We couldn't go near them. We couldn't get near them at all, and it was hell.
The good old days. But we're with these memories, and this I'm going to close off. I got two last questions, and think of bidones because that's going to be the last one for you, Nima.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to ask you something. We're talking about all these memories. We're talking about 2005, 2007. I want to ask you guys something. Why is it that I'm not going to diminish La Tripleta of Inter? I'm never going to diminish that because as much as I hate Inter, it's still an incredible accomplishment winning Scudetto, Coppa Italia, and Champions League. I'm going to ask you guys this. I'm going to ask Steve to answer first. Why do you think the 2007 Milan team winning Champions League, Scudetto, and the FIFA World Cup, the Club World Cup, why is that not considered on the same level as it? Because for me, let's put it down. I did not win Coppa Italia, but I won the FIFA World Cup, which is representing the best clubs in the world, right?
No, it really isn't. Come on.
Excuse me, Nima. Excuse me.
It's a Mickey Mouse tournament. Come on.
Why is it not? Why is it not considered? Why is it not considered as prestigious as your? Who did you beat in Coppa Italia that year?
What?
Avellino.
Oh, come on! Listen, no. Let's be honest. The FIFA Club World Cup
it's a trophy.
Yeah, it's a trophy the same way the Supercoppa Italiana, or as Mourinho said, the Coppa
You just
Toscana.
Your Coppa Italia is a stupid trophy. So why is your tripleta considered?
No,
because
no. I'm saying the FIFA Club World Cup is not a serious trophy. It's the Coppa Italia it gets serious towards the semi-final, and the final. That final, I was rewatched. It was 5th of May 2 days ago, so I rewatched that entire game. So that was a very difficult trophy to win, especially when you have a Roma trying to the way Roma played under Ranieri that day. They were out to hurt Inter players. I mean, Mexes punching Materazzi in the stomach and Totti kicking Balotelli in the head, and I mean they were not imbalanced. Burdisso, who was owned by Inter, going with 10 studs into Schneider. I mean, it was that. Believe me, no one does that in the FIFA Club World Cup. It's a Christmas holiday trophy, and FIFA are not too happy about it either, and that's why they want to make it into a big serious tournament. Because I mean, seriously, who do you play? Kashima Antlers, and
we beat Boca Junior in the final. Did we not?
That's the only serious trophy. That's the only serious competition you play in that competition.
Yeah, you're basically playing the best South American team in the final.
Yeah,
All right, guys. I
that's
tried.
what
I
it is.
tried. I tried, and it didn't work out. And
Yeah, you tried to do the whole Galliani Uncle Fester move there
I
with
tried. I tried, but Nima, I'm gonna.
Nostro triplete. It's like when Berlusconi towards the end when he bought Zaccardo and said he bought a world champion.
It's
It's like no, amico, no, 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 no,
it's
no,
just
no.
it's just funny because I liked I'm a kind of person that I look at the stuff both sides of the coin, and I have a friend that it's an interista and he keeps on like tripleta tripleta, and somebody had commenting me these guys he's always looking back to that, and I looked at him, I'm like, and what the hell do Milanistas do? We're always looking back to the past. So if you want to tell us tripleta tripleta, it's fine there, but
Ah.
I just wanted to have your opinions
No,
on
I
that.
mean, I remember. I think it was the Scudetto sorry, the Derby di Natale, the Natale Derby, when Milan had just won. I think it was 2008, wasn't it? The Derby when you guys had just become the world champions and you got the like the Corridoio di Onore that you
2008,
called.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
The Walk
No,
of Fame.
The
well,
Walk of
yeah,
Fame.
yeah, we'll be. I mean, that to me is, that's another thing about this derby that I really like, and that's is that when both of these clubs, there is a lot of rivalry between them, but there's also respect. I mean, when Curva Nord may give a tribute to Paolo Maldini, that to me is, this is this derby, it's
I think Maldini and Zanetti, and to us, like I will never say, and maybe because we didn't grow up in that generation, maybe a Facchetti back in the day, but
yeah, they're
I
the
cannot
same.
say anything bad about Zanetti. I will
No.
never trash the guy. Reading the articles, he was trying to pick up the flares from the game,
Yeah.
trying to calm people down. That hair is fantastic, but just like yours. And Richard,
Perfect.
Richard sent you a comment saying, "Look at that beautiful hair that Nima has." So, but let's finish it off with a little laugh. Steve, you remember the strikers that we selected for our worst team in the decade, right? Now, Nima, instead of you coming up with 11 players, right? Steve is going to take four. We chose four of these strikers.
Okay.
He's going to name them off to you, and you have to try to be worse than these four,
Okay.
right? So it could be, big flops, guys who paid a lot of money, didn't do shit. The strikers' time. So let's say if you pick Vieri at Inter, right, because he sucked at Inter. So an example like that. Steve, why don't you remind Nima or tell Nima who are I don't know if they're starting. Why don't we just give them all four? Maybe he's starting on the bench, maybe he's on the. But who are these four strikers that are going to go up against Nima's worst four strikers?
So Kalinic.
Obviously.
We have Fernando Torres, which was 20 years too late.
Mm-hmm.
We have Luis Adriano, which we sold to Japan or China, and then they sent him back.
Yeah.
So we basically just played his plane ride.
And the guy that we paid for
The guy we paid for his salary, we paid his transfer, we loaned him to Juventus. He won a Scudetto, and then he came back to do absolutely nothing. 12 milioni di euro perduti, Matri.
So you have Matri, Torres, Kalinic, and Luis Adriano. Who are you going to come up with to face these fierce four strikers?
Tommaso Rocchi, Ishak Belfodil.
Belfodil is in Montreal now.
Ishak Belfodil, right? You have Marco Livaja, the insane Croatian youngster.
Livaja.
Who basically was on war with everyone. He told the Atalanta, I think he insulted the entire country of Italy after he had a run-in with some Atalanta fans. And then he was quietly shipped out at night, never to be heard again. Now he's in Greece, last time I heard. Who else do we have? I mean, just those two: Rocchi, Belfodil, Livaja, those three. And then who should I choose in the last 4 years that we've had that sucked? I mean, we could use Dani Osvaldo because he was mentally insane. He was criminally insane. He wanted to kill. He wanted to kill Mauro Icardi on the pitch, which I can understand, but I just don't think that's a good thing to do. But he was a good football player. He was just mentally insane.
He wanted to be in a band. He didn't want to play soccer. He wanted to be in a band. He wanted to do drugs. He wanted to have sexual intercourse with everybody, but not play soccer.
Yeah.
And Frank, Facebook friend saying, how about Vampeta and Dalmat? I don't know if they're the
Well,
last 10 years.
our good that's Vampeta is you because you guys were talking just past the past
10
10 years
years,
because
yeah.
yeah
Frank,
because
he likes the historical facts.
but I mean if we're talking about our good friend the gay porn star adult porn star Vampeta who after signed for Inter actually posed naked in a Brazilian gay magazine porn magazine. This is true. I'm not making this up. You can look it up. I remember how this was so beautifully hushed by
Not
the
there's
Italian.
anything wrong with that, by the way. Huh?
No,
We're not.
no, no. No, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being gay. I'm saying you don't have to first sign for Inter and then go out and do a nude porn shoot for a gay magazine. I mean, this was insane. The guy had won the World Cup. He was part of PSV. He was actually a decent midfielder. Everyone was excited when he came. And when all of this come out, and when all of this came out, I've never seen how the Italian press just decided together that no, we're not going to talk about this. This is not Moratti's fault. In fact, this is this guy is just unlucky with this one. So they didn't talk about it. The story was not made big. Everyone just let it go, and then he disappeared a few months
Pretty
later.
good one, Steve. But his starting strikers, I think he might have one up on us on those strikers. Would you think,
Oh,
Steve?
are you kidding me?
Yeah, he
That's
has a one or two up on us.
he's got one or two up on us, and I think
Rocky, for crying
Tomas,
out loud! I had to watch Tommaso Rocky playing an Inter shirt.
you brought Tommaso Rocchi to replace Sue. I remember making a comment back in the day. I think you guys had
Yeah,
got rid of
I mean, our Diego, our we replaced Samuel Eto'o, okay, with Diego Forlan, who could barely walk. This was Forlan could barely walk. He was this old and this injured. So your Torres is our Forlan. The other three, Livaya and Belfodil and Tommaso Rocchi. I'm sorry, I mean,
Wow.
no,
Yeah, you know what,
no,
Steve? I think
no.
I gotta give it to Nima. I gotta give it to Nima. I think that's crap period.
Matri was a decent player in his day. Like, okay, he wasn't good for Milan. Kalinic, okay, fine. But you're not Tommaso Rocchi at the age of 35, 36. I mean, no.
Yeah. So Steve,
No.
can we give him? He's got better bidons than us.
I'd say
Striking, yeah.
Yeah,
I'd
I think.
say all the way. I'm saying that I've better bidone than you guys. You guys have no idea what it means to have bidone. Like when it comes to bidones, Inter are the undefeated champions. Like we have an ability to sign crap like no one else. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You've
Steve,
been forced into it because
Steve,
of bad
I
situation.
can't wait. I can't wait until we spoke to Zvonko again. That he wants to organize that that little project where we collect some money to send Vinny and Steve to the San Siro. We're gonna have to sit down with Nima, and we're gonna be there for
Absolutely.
hours drinking and talking
Oh
about.
yeah,
And at
without
the
a
end,
doubt.
we're gonna go, no, I'm shittier than you. No, I'm shittier. Instead of saying we're better than
That's how
you.
it's gonna be. That's how it's gonna be completely.
Guys, thank you so very much, man. This has been a fantastic deep down. And with Nima, I think we could talk for another hour. No, Steve.
Yes, easily.
But did you have any closing questions for Nima? Something to pick his brain at?
No, yeah. There's one question that I have for Nima, and it's something that always intrigued me. Uh, and it's not even funny. It's really it's the mystery of Adriano. Like, what happened? Like,
Yeah,
you see all the articles. You know that he had the drinking problem, but you also saw that like someone like Zanetti constantly trying to be like a father figure, and it still didn't work out. Right? The
No,
Brazilians traditionally, I know that they're coming from Brazil to come play football in Europe, and more so in the past. Now I think they're getting a little bit used to it, but it was always a culture shock for them. It was always they had nothing, and now they're really really rich young kids with not a lot of guidance. Does that chalk up to what Ronaldo's time at Inter was?
oh, you mean
yeah,
Adriano?
No,
Adriano.
Adriano.
sorry, Adriano,
No,
not Ronaldo.
when we talk about Adriano, I think Adriano. I mean, he wrote. Actually, it's pretty interesting you asked me about that because he published like an open letter on Inter's homepage just a few days ago, like 2 3 days ago, where he spoke about this. And he grew up in third world poverty. Like let's not the favelas, the shanty towns of Brazil and South Africa, and that's poverty on another level. That's third world poverty. He grew up in those horrible conditions, and his father and mother became so much bigger to him. So like their importance were so fundamental to his existence. And when Zanetti spoke about it when she said the scream that came out of his room when Adriano found out that his dad died. I think Ibrahimovic also speaks of this. He says it was something else. It was pain none of them had ever heard before. And then I think a lot of and the reason for that is, and what happened after that is, the drinking problems came after that. Let's remember the alcoholism started after the death of his father, and that really.
And guys, even at Rome, didn't he had started off okay at Rome when he had that second chance?
Yeah.
It seemed to but because I think, as you guys are describing, Adriano was one of the biggest cases of what could have been.
Absolutely. Ibrahimovic said he's the most complete football player he's ever played with, and his talent level was something else, and he was something else. When Adriano was at his best, he was unplayable. I've never seen the perfect combination of power, technique, physique, speed. He had everything. He was unstoppable, literally unstoppable. And he did these things. He was like a runaway train. You just couldn't stop him. There was no way to stop him. You couldn't tackle him because he was too strong. And then you had that sledgehammer of a left foot.
Mm-hmm.
Those shots. I'm so sorry because of what happened. Because I think that him and Ibrahimovic together, if they were able to keep both of them in peak. Ibra was peak at Inter, but if they were able to keep Adriano peak, those two up front, Jesus.
And we mentioned right at the beginning, Nesta getting a very early yellow card in that game because he just couldn't contain Adriano. We're not talking about Joe Schmo in defense. We're talking about Alessandro Nesta in 2005. Yeah. And if it wasn't, they're saying that Stam stepped up because you have shades of Brazilian Ronaldo when he was at his best, but unfortunately couldn't be consistent and all these problems. But now, Steve, that's a great question because these are kind of players that sometimes we like to poke fun, at I used to do this, but in the end, it's all everybody's got their own issues and this and that. It is just sad to see like a talent like that. Some people get injuries that we can't see them, la Van Basten, we can't see them for the next 10 years. But unfortunately, we all have our demons. Who the fuck are we to judge people's demons, right?
Absolutely. And also let's remember, substance addiction is an illness. Let's remember that it's not like, now we know in medical science that it is an illness and it's a compulsive behavior that you can't control how much you want. You need to have therapy. You need medical treatment to be able to stop. And the same goes for all substance abuse or all addictions. So I think we should remember that it's not just like, he likes to drink a little bit and party too much. No, that's not what it was. The guy was in a very, very bad place mentally because of the death of his father. It shook his entire life to the core, and drinking numbed that. And that was a spiral of that. So we should remember.
Unfortunately, guys, in 2005, did we have the knowledge of it's an illness? Our first thing that will go straight to mind is like, the partying and the this and the that. Unfortunately, nowadays it's like, where maybe, would a Balotelli in 2005 would have survived more than one chance? He wouldn't have had more than one chance, Balotelli, but, looking at the difference, is this and that. But no, Adriano, definitely, Steve, thanks for bringing that up from over there. So in the end, I loved this little episode, us telling each other who sucked more. Nima, the garden snake, we always appreciate you having on. We're looking forward to whenever everything goes back to normal. Steve and I, we have ideas. We're going to do Patreon. We're going to do a fundraiser with Presidente with a regular kind of phone. Pick him along. This is for it. We're going to do this, and we're going to be there. And we're not coming with $200 of spending money, right, Steve? Your voice.
I'm muted. We're not coming with 200. We're probably coming with 150. So we're gonna need some help.
Any closing comments, gentlemen, before I take off on this broadcast?
Thank you so much. I love talking with you guys. You know that. Always
midnight is not that bad for him, right, Steve? So he stayed up. It's not like he's actually staying up for us. He's gonna go to bed in about 4 hours from now. Wake up, go back to work, right?
He's gonna wait till the video's up and retweet it. It's like it's 4 a.m.
No, I'm going to bed.
And he's gonna come up in the middle of the night. He's gonna wake up. I forgot this striker, and he's gonna. Guys, Thank you very much for following. Stay tuned to your applications because tomorrow will be dropping and another special on Friday, which I'll let you guys know from over there. Ovunque sempre, we say.
Forza Milan!
Okay, Nima, I'll give you this. We'll say whatever you have to say.
No, it's a pleasure. Sempre Forza Inter.
In case we have Interista watching, where can they find your excellent work? I just forgot to give yourself your plug and everything.
Oh, thanks. No, it's I'm on Twitter at Nima Tav ROOD and at SempreInter.com. SempreInter.com. We got an app coming out. Hi. Hi. Oh, that's cute.
SempreInter.com, guys. No, it's always good stuff, and I've seen your articles and always straight down the middle. You're not a kind of a clickbait kind of thing, and always enjoying reading your stuff, guys. Once again, thank you so very much. Ovunque sempre, fuck Inter, Forza Milan. Ciao.
Ciao.
I'm just gonna end the broadcast now.